hire them. That's what school boards do. They hire and fire superintendents. You're qualified to do that. We leave the curricular decisions there. What we've done at the state level is put standards in place. And that's what we're holding them to, the knowledge that's embodied in them. You can come up with whatever harebrained math curriculum you want. And if it turns out you're not performing, well then we're going to hold you accountable for not performing because of that. And it's going to apply for mathematics, and it's going to apply for English. We won't have, by the way, you'll hear about Common Core science standards. This state is not adopted. Well, first of all, we haven't adopted them. Second of all, as long as I'm participating in, as long as Mr. Gunlock is and President Terhar, we're not going to adopt other standards for science. We're adopting the Ohio standards. We have them already. But that's where it rests. We're establishing standards. Curricular decisions rest at the local level. Please don't forget that distinction as you're thinking about the impact of these policies. I hope that's helpful for you, and we'd be glad to answer any questions you have.
Great. Well, thank you, gentlemen. Are there questions for these witnesses? Representative Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess I'm trying to understand exactly, Mr. Jones, what you're saying. You're conceding that data mining is a problem, or you're fundamentally saying that the agreement under PARC does not require us under the Memorandum of Understanding to supply certain data. And I guess my other question is our waiver from No Child Left Behind contingent on supplying the data that's required for the purposes of the Department of Education?
I'll say first, I'm very concerned about data mining. I'm very concerned about data privacy. You know what concerns me most? This thing and this thing. There's more privacy, personal information flowing out to companies that mine this. I'm a good friend with IBM Consulting. They have more innovative ways of knowing who you are and who your children are than you can imagine. And they're getting it from right here. What you serve, what feeds back to websites. I'm very concerned about that. In fact, I testified before you on behalf of my other job, independent colleges, to make sure that we're not getting in the business of trying to collect more and more data that has nothing and centralizing it in state government. But put that aside, the agreement requires that we participate with PARC and provide data associated with the development that is ultimately developed. The problem is that the quantification of that, the what of the data, isn't done yet. And I said it publicly. I said it when I was at a roundtable on this topic about 8 months ago in Delaware. We will not permit that data to go. Because one, under state law right now, we can't. Okay? So we already have that in place. And Mr. Brenner, again, if there's refinements to that that you as legislators are interested in, let's look at that. But I don't believe we can ultimately turn over that data. And if we are forced to violate the PARC agreement or violate Ohio law, it's not a difficult decision here. And we'll have to go to the feds and say, well, we're down to these last pieces, and we can't do this. We can't because Ohio law hasn't changed, and they'll be in an interesting position, and that is either take away our federal Title I money, force us to revert to our No Child Left Behind plan, because that's what the waiver is, or do nothing. And as political showdowns like this work, the answer is something else will likely happen. There will either be a change in how the administration interprets the law. We'll have a new administration. I mean, inevitably in 3 years we will have a new president. Or Congress will intervene. Because of those scenarios, I do not see this legislative body, I don't see this governor changing our student privacy laws as a condition of receipt of federal funds. And it won't be just here in the small press talking about it. This will be playing out on editorial pages of every paper across the nation. If you stand your ground and refuse to change the law to permit what they may ask in the future, and we don't know what that will be ultimately, then you will be standing guard to that privacy, and I encourage you to do so. I can stand there with you. I'll go have these talks with other people elsewhere or in Washington. Why don't you do it?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And so, Mr. Jones,